Welcome once again to Unmasking the Man. Today is, I think, one of those topics that you almost not too sure what to say, but I mean, you have to somehow say it anyway. So we are talking about, or asking the big question, what do men want from women? Who best to answer this question than, on my right, Levi Cones.
What a ridiculous introduction. What do you mean?
The best one to answer this question.
Talk
to us.
That's a terrible intro, but I'm glad I'm here.
Welcome. Of course, joining me as well, Pastor Roy Kesis. Karibu sana.
Thank you so much.
Oh man, yeah. I got you there. And today the spotlight, gentlemen, is on
our expert.
The guy with all the big names.
We have expert opinion.
Expert opinion.
On what men want from women.
Let's allow him to introduce himself in all the expert language.
An opening statement.
Oh man, this is tough. My name is Kazma Makure. I'm a musician and a swimmer. That's what I do most of the times. And every once in a while I engage people, young people specifically, on social issues. And we talk about relationships, we talk about history, philosophy, those kinds of things.
Yeah.
So my expert opinion feels not so expert because you guys have the lived experience, the thing that's called tacit knowledge. You know, you look at your folks and you say, oh, they know nothing. But then you realize they've lived longer, so they probably know a thing or two about how to navigate life.
Yeah.
So I hope that in this conversation I'll just glean from what you guys have to, from your lived experiences.
That we look like your folks.
No, I don't. I'm not saying that, but if the shoe fits. I'm saying there's a very strong urge for me to say Mr. Levi and not just call him.
Well, there could be more people know about this guy. He needs to introduce himself in a way that the viewer can say, that's the guy. I mean, say more.
You guys are spoiling. So, I'm the music director at Engage. I play piano in church as well. And I've worked as an educator, music educator. Taught at St. Andrew's Turi, St. Christopher's, West Nairobi School, Nisola School. That's in terms of education. I also do a bit of social work, specifically covering mental health and wellness. And very recently, in the past 1 year, I've been a fellow, one of 15 African fellows in a program called Global Citizen and Be Good. And we've been working on just poverty eradication and the fight for equity. More popularly, if you're looking for my face, I think you saw me in 2020 when we were leading demonstrations against the lockdown. And it was, I'm the guy behind the hashtag Fungua Nchi. And that's basically it. I'm both interested in music and in social justice.
Levi was waiting to hear how you come in when it comes to your expert opinion as it relates to what men want from women.
Oh man, I think I've gotten into a bit of hot water because I've always... So here's the thing. I feel like we have good advice on everything apart from how to relate with the opposite gender as young men. And if you see the leading voices in the social spaces, you would either find it's like a drunk person who's that does not advocate for like the straight and narrow, and who says you do not deserve to have women in long-term relationships as a man, do not involve yourself in family creation, those kinds of things. And then on the other hand, all we are told is be a good man, and if you're a good man, you'll eventually get a good wife, and then life continues. So it's very hazy. The leading voices in the manosphere, like the people who are actually leading these conversations, are not people who advocate for like strong value systems. So I think about maybe 3 months ago, I just casually involved myself, and I think I put out a video. I didn't think it would be a big deal, but I've been putting out videos and saying, this is what I feel young men we should do, this is what we could do. And I've gained a bit of a following, and I've taken a bit of flack on social media. But yeah, that's how I think I come into the conversation.
Yeah.
And I felt like I needed to step up, because if you look at even the world right now, when young men think of a person to look up to, they look up to Andrew Tate or Andrew Kibe. It's interesting that it's a bunch of Andrews. And they have a discipleship, for lack of a better word, and it's a fan base where you feel like, they're always telling young people, this is the grind, this is how you do, you have game and all that. But I was like, then what about the people whose value systems do not align with these people? What if I do not drink? What if I don't believe in having multiple partners? What if I actually believe in the family institution? What if I actually want to be one of those people, one of those young men who be in a marriage?
So what I'm hearing you say, and gentlemen, really, is that question cannot just be asked in isolation. It's too ambiguous.
Maybe.
A question to just say, what do men want? It has to be contextualized and perhaps answered within a certain context, so to speak. And he has brought in, of course, there are those who subscribe to, the religious, way of doing things. And
That's the way of life.
That's the way of life. So if you're asking them that question, perhaps the answer would be different from if you just asked any other, person that does not necessarily come from the same, place.
I want to make an outrageous statement that I feel would open it up a bit more. While I feel, yes, it's very true, we could compartmentalize it and put it in silos. I feel like since we're all men, it doesn't matter. A man is a man. There could be a religious man, there could be an irreligious man. I could posit a controversial thing and say, if we were to just be bold about it, we would say that men want the most amount of sex from women using the least amount of resources, that is time, money, attention, and that emotional connection. Eventually, because all of us are trying to, build a legacy. And in return, women want the most attention, time, and that physical presence with the least amount of sex. So if we were to just strip it down, whether you're a person who has values and you will walk the straight and narrow, and then you will go and talk to the parents, and then you do the whole bride price thing, and then you start a family. Starting a family is euphemism for then we will have sex. And then there's the ratchet ones who want to sleep with a girl the first time they meet them, or sleep with as many. Then you realize when women interact with us, it's usually less about the sex than it is about the quality time, the conversation, going to places. So, I feel like that's a battle.
The expert has just thrown the span.
There's some generals,
Yeah.
When I was thinking about that question, I was just thinking about the other question I would have attached to it is at what time, what do men want from women? When? Because I feel as if when you're in your teens and you're about to be 20, what you want is to be noticed. You want to be admired if you're a good athlete or anything like that. You want the chicks to see that you're there. And then you get into your 20s and you want sex. You become a sexual being. For many men, it's a moment to then have as much sex as they can with as many women as they want, And you start working, maybe you're in your late 20s, early 30s, and now you want inspiration, motivation. You want somebody to, feed into the dreams that you're having. Yeah? And by the time you get to your 40s, what you want is friendship and peace. But then, you don't stop wanting all these other things along the way. They're still there. So for
It's just priority.
You still want all of them, and if you don't get them, then you will find them in specific women. So you'll find a man has got his family and his thing, but then he's got
because they are giving him a
person
specific.
Yes. Now he departmentalizes because he thinks he cannot get them. If he doesn't get them all in the same woman, then he spreads out. But I would believe, trying to be a man and to bring all those amalgamate them into a relationship is what the difficult part is. Because, with relationships now, with women being women, not all women are the same, and women are very different, and you have to get to know them. And as he says, they are also interested in getting to know you. They've got also their standards of things that they want. And that's where the mesh begins to enter. But basically, if you line up and ask people, what do you want? Number 1 to 10, you'll find those things are in that list.
Right.
Yeah.
Why are you looking at me when the experts have spoken?
Even the experts are looking at you right now.
You want to just pray and go.
I look at it from the good book,
Yeah.
the Bible, and I will begin by saying that I think men don't know what they want. It's God who knows what they want. See, Adam was just idling in the garden, and then God says, name the animals. And he names the animals. Then God draws the conclusion himself. It's not good
For the man.
for the man to be alone. It is God who comes with the idea. Then God decides that what this man needs is a woman. So I want to suggest that while men may come up with a list of what they want, they really, really don't know what they want. And they will only find peace and satisfaction in God. Now, later on, the Bible says that when God created Eve and brought to the man discovered, this is what I needed. And the man was okay with the tigers, elephants, giraffes. And the man was okay with the chimpanzees. And he saw this is a perfect
And suddenly
world.
it becomes poetic.
And there are so many men single. I don't want to mention anyone single in this case. Who are maybe okay with playing piano, social justice, and those kind of things.
Yeah.
And they believe they are okay. And so those men, when the day delivers the Eve he has picked the rib and made,
If they realize
all of a sudden they will discover swimming is not satisfactory. I need to swim in high waters.
Correct.
There's nothing close to it.
So Adam turns poetic.
Yeah.
They say, flesh of my flesh,
Bone of my bones.
and God has not done introduction. He just brought a lady. And even gives a name. I'll call you woman.
Yes.
I think God had a better name, but said, well, you stole the show.
Yes.
Let's have it. But now later on you read in Proverbs, the Bible says, a good wife comes from the Lord. Again, reiterating that point, that we don't even know what we want. So that when you are marrying at an earlier age, maybe you are looking for a very beautiful woman, that will complement, that will help you look better in your status, make you look like conqueror of the best of the best. But you see, God sees down the line that this woman is very careless financially and will strip you financially. Or maybe this woman will drain you emotionally. And so God knows what's good for a man. When a man says, this is what I want, I don't think it's 100% correct. It is from their feeble and poor limited perception that we say that is what we want. For example, eventually, as you grow up, you discover, talking about the issue of sex, you eventually get to discover that sex is not just physical. It gets better when the person is very friendly, when the person is a true close partner, and what have you. It is no longer just a physical exercise. But you see, the Lord knows that down the line. But at a younger age, you are just interested in what you have seen, maybe in movies, what you have seen online, and what you have seen here. So I will say that what men want, they don't know.
And let me just pick it from there, Pastor, and pose this to you, because I don't know, because have you perhaps at any given time been so sure of what you're looking for in a woman, went for it, got the woman, and then later on realized it's not really what you thought you needed?
Absolutely, because I think, at every given stage, the way Livy has said, we usually feel like, and I don't know if this was only to me, but I thought I was wisest when I had finished Form 4. I thought, now I'm a man, I know everything. And then 2 years later, I'm like, excuse me, what was that I thought I knew? And as an Adventist, the way the dating space has been for us is the conversation has always been, do not just date for the sake of dating. You date with a view of marriage. And so you have a young person, and this is a question I usually pose. I say for like the first 18 years of your life, there's no significant decision that has ever been placed in your hands. Your parents decided what you were going to wear, where you're going to go to school, your teachers always told you. You know, I usually make a joke that the amount of paraffin we drank in high school can make me, I'm almost the size of that motorcycle. I'm like a 75cc Bajaj. You know, like, then after that, you get into campus, and then maybe you do campus, and even a lot of the times, that's almost always decided for us. Then the first decision you're expected to make is, who are you going to marry? Who are you going to spend the rest of your life with?
So are you insinuating that the previous communities where they used to choose a spouse for you would have been a better deal? Because I think there were communities where, as you grow up, your parents have already started making those kind of decisions with another family, with our son, you know.
Yeah.
Will
And I
that
think I would be opposed to that. I think, like maybe last year, I would have debated you fiercely on that. But I see the word community is very important, because right now we live in a very self-centered world where I think my issues are my issues. Even the marriages that I think work, or the long-term committed relationships that work, they're usually in a committed setting. And that's why I usually like, why do like the Hindu community, why do they have, they're not Adventists most definitely, but why do they have like long marriages? Why do they have like long family heritages? I think it's not necessarily in the choosing as it is in the sense of duty. The thing that you see, like nowadays, as a young person, you can't quite pinpoint, where can you find me as a young Adventist? Where's my membership? And that sprinkles down to our lives, where even in my workplace, I will stay there for a year and then I'll switch careers and whatnot. So that sense of community, the sense of duty to something, I think contributes to the success.
Maybe the wrong thing is to stand from a pedestal where we say, what do men want, as if already we are everything women want. You know, so that we are laying down the law, we sit there, what do we want from women?
Yeah.
You come. You know, when I look at the Bible and, you know, it talks about husbands love your wives and then wives submit. I always imagine, you know, when, and of course you hear some women will say, oh, I will not submit until you love her. But away from that particular argument, if you love something, let's say you picked up a sport, like swimming, for example, and you love swimming, then you have to find out about the strokes. You've got to find out about how you can, you know, swim properly, about buoyancy, about things. There are things you're going to have to change to make yourself better in that sport.
Right.
Yeah, because you love it. Yeah. And if a woman is submitting to you, that submit word actually constitutes change, because you will not submit to something you do not change to conform with. You know, we submit to the law of gravity, which means we must, every time we jump, we must come down. Yeah. That submits, it has change in it. So unless you're somebody who is open to change yourself, it's difficult to know what you truly want. Because part of that wanting it will make sure that you are also a subject of change yourself. So that when you want, the basic what you should want from a woman, basically speaking, is a woman that you can change with. A woman that you can love. Because all of us, if you look at those of us who are married, I'll tell you, my wife is not the woman I married her 10 years ago. You know? She's not the woman I met years before that. She has changed. But then so have I. In order for you to make a better marriage, we must constantly be in that aspect of being able to change even with the circumstances.
Changing together.
Changing together.
Changing together. That way you'll be able to get what you want. So what you want is really a woman that can change with you. Otherwise then, that's what you want, you'll be looking for, because you know, as he rightfully put it, you will look for sex. You know, for so many men, you have sex with a woman and think, you remember the story of Ammon and his stepsister. And after he had, taken her and bedded her, he hated her more than he loved her. You know, and that's a very, very same scenario thing for many men. That's why women are saying, oh, this guy, he just wanted to bed me. And after he bedded me, he was just like, I don't want this anymore. He wasn't prepared to make the change of life with her. So he was just looking for that. He didn't get it. Now he's looking, looking for a yellow one. You go look for a short one. You go find a tall one. You look for one who comes from the coast. You find another one from the inland. And it just is not satisfactory until you're ready to also make changes yourself.
And Pastor, as you come in, has there been any point in your life where you felt like, honestly, I don't feel like I'm being understood for who I am and what I want, at least in regards to how you relate to your spouse, you're feeling like there's a breakdown here. I don't think you understand me, or you get what I'm looking for.
The truth is that only God understands us. To expect someone else to fully understand you, I think, is to ask for too much. People can tolerate you. People can make adjustments to say, yeah, I think we have an idea what he wants, So with that understanding, it is more common that you'll always feel constantly that there's a point where this person doesn't understand me very well. But I thought that it's good also we clear the air on a few things. That it is true that what I want at one level is not what I want in the next level. And maybe it's good we clarify. When a man is looking for a wife, could be looking for a very beautiful lady, clean, presentable, attractive, I want to be proud of. I think it is important for women to maintain that. To remain beautiful, to remain attractive, to remain good. Because at one point, that was the main thing that we were looking for. We didn't even want to know your name. It was just good enough to have this beautiful lady on my side. And now that you have come home, please remain that I can be proud of and say, yeah, that's my wife. Otherwise, it becomes difficult to be introduced. Number two, when a man wants, at some point when a man is interested in sex in a woman, then we are talking about adventurous, not routine, not church policy, church manual kind of prescribed sex.
Which one is that?
I don't even know, but
There seems to be.
but the fact that you're asking seems it exists. Not that kind. It has to be adventurous. It has to be attempting, trying this and that, and open and crazy and wild. That's what a man wants. And that's what we expect somehow that women will remain to be even after giving birth to 35 of our children. Yes, that's what they will do. Because somebody's asking, what do men want? Now, let's explain in these stages. Now, when a man wants peace of mind, some peace and quiet, life gets to a point where all a man wants is peace, is that don't worry. Even if the roof has collapsed, and I don't have money to call someone to fix it. Once you say it once, don't repeat it until 10 years have elapsed. Let it leak for 10 years. Let the house flood. Let the man have peace. Sometimes peace is more important for the man. At that point, peace and quiet, leave us alone. There is somebody who has said in his show about marriage that men have a box which is called nothing, an empty box. And we like taking refuge there, that a man can be seated and, truth be told, he's thinking about nothing. And you need to leave him alone. He's thinking about nothing, and he's okay with nothing. He's not thinking about the future, the past, or the present. That is a man who needs peace and quiet. Then, at some point, men need a companion. Companion is not somebody who interrupts, but somebody who supports. Nimewachana. You ask, what do men want?
I've even gone into Swahili.
I think you ended the show. Drop the mic. Give him a mic. He needs to drop one.
I think before you bring the expert to close for us, this question I think will be asked until the end of time. Women will always ask the woman who's been cheated on. She says, "What do men want?"
Precisely.
Ask the woman who has had her husband, maybe misappropriate funds when she had given so much to the home. She will ask the same question: what do these guys? What do they want? So I think this question will never be answered conclusively. But I think as men to men, we can always go back to the self, and it's a question we must question yourself. I'm always that person who says it's always good to have a self-reflection at the end of the day and ask yourself, what do you want? For yourself, for your family, for your things. And you cannot find these answers, as the pastor rightfully put it, until you find your place in God. And then God can show you. Because some things we want are lustful. Some things we want are just greed.
Yeah.
Some things we want are, not realistic. And then there are those things we want that are true needs, that are true serious issues that we need to deal with. And for us to decipher those ones properly, we must have a guiding light. If you do not have a benchmark, a constitution by which you live by, then you will want anything and everything.
So, Pastor, as we conclude, end this for us by answering this question for someone who perhaps, feels like whatever it is that they want or they think they need as men is not forthcoming. Then, whether it's companionship, whether it's peace of mind, whether it's the beauty, all that, within the context of the, relationship, it's not forthcoming and, frustration is kicking in. What should they do?
Yeah, allow me to end with just 3 things that will respond to that. The first one is that at some point when people seek marriage, the ladies will look for somebody who has some degree semblance to their father, because their first love was the father. And the son's first love is the mother. So sons will tend to look for somebody who is to some degree like their mother. I would give free advice to the ladies that at some point, men want a wife who can mother them, who can be like a mother, the tender care of a mother. Among the many things that we have mentioned, that is one of them. So you can't go around on social media announcing and say, I can't be a mother to my children and to an adult man. Then you are announcing your failure to the public. Let me say also that if you are married, it is difficult for a woman to be everything.
Yeah.
She should be to you. Learn to be contented unless it is making you sick and now there is need for intervention. But if it's not making you sick, find a way to be contented with the situation where you find yourself. And if you are not married, like some people we know,
Whose names you will not mention.
we don't mention names here. If you are not married, then you need to walk carefully. Don't jump into marriage and try to fool everybody. You meet somebody in January, then by July, you are saying we are announcing we've known each other for a long time. You are fooling yourself. Go slow and make sure that the person fits the bill that God intended for you. I'll leave it there.
Oh, man. All right. Let me hear what you think in the comments section. Give us some feedback. This is a wild, wild, wild card. But we hope to see you again on the next episode of Unmasking the Man. That's been my turn.